What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a 2011 mixtape by Paul Wall. Basically, this product is called Politics as Usual, and it came out in the winter of 2011. So the thing about this particular product is this is the follow-up to Paul Wall's hit album from 2010, Heart of a Champion, which had some pretty good pitches on there. That was one of his last true full-blown commercial type products that was at least in underground kind of Tech 9 type territory, but it's interesting to kind of get Paul Wall into mixtape type fare just because it seemed like he kind of did some buzz mixtapes with like Swisher House and some of those type folks throughout the mid late 2000s, pitches like that when he was dropping like the People's Champ and Get Money, Stay True, some of those type projects. But it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of up in the air within the tone behind as far as like the full blown amount of Paul Wall products that are kind of out. The true discography is kind of scattershot just within that sense, kind of similar to like Mike Jones and Slim Thug, even some of those type folks in terms of the sheer full blown amount of products that they did. Like Texas folks, Houston folks did a lot of mixtapes as far as those fairs going to happen, selling them in the back of the trunk of their car and some of those type pitches to some of that type fare. Lots of folks kind of had that particular fare, so there might be some localized type ones, but it's at least becoming more amalgamated with some of the tones of some of these products. I realize that this particular product, Politics as Usual, is not displayed on Paul Wall's discography on Wikipedia, so they didn't know about it, but it's just a good pitch to kind of get this here because it's kind of a more secret type product. Pretty good buzz project to kind of get here. I don't know if it full blown had a single, but it's up there. It's definitely, it's just a minor, just like a minor dab, not as good compared to, it's just a minor step kind of underneath like Paul Wall's 2012 mixtape, No Sleep Till Houston, which I definitely felt was like a classic and gave that like a 10 out of 10. But this is pretty damn close. It's on the cusp of being a classic. There's 16 songs in here, and out of those 16, I wound up recommending at least 13, so it's a pretty good pitch. Now, the thing about it is there are some repeat songs on here, some songs that were on Paul Wall's 2009 album, Fast Money, as far as those pitches going to happen, which is interesting because I would have figured it's surprising that there weren't songs from Heart of a Champion, but then I suppose that album just came out, so maybe he didn't want to give away songs for free. But it's the relative type pitch, so basically the only three songs I don't recommend on here would just be Refund, Paper Chasing, and Daddy Wasn't Home. One of which, Daddy Wasn't Home, was a song that was on Paul Wall's Fast Money. Just didn't really appreciate the kind of more lambent type appeal of that particular one. It was just kind of a more homely type one, just a little bit more reflective that just didn't really have the good cadence. I want to say I didn't recommend that song when I reviewed Fast Money back in 2023. And then Refund is kind of the same type of pitch of a song, and I'd say it's kind of like a particular, it's like a Refund is like a type of song that just talks about, I mean, it does have affable lyrics on Refund. It's relatable within the pitch of like folks wanting you when you have money, but not fucking with you when you don't. Some of those type tones just within the tone behind it, but the production for it is just not quite as full blown. I feel like it's a good song to kind of have for like a more kind of bad hair day pitch, like that good concept for that. So I would say possibly I could say about that, but I don't. It just the frequency of how much I'd listen to is just kind of here and there. It has suppose, but it is a decent song. Could pretty much almost be an almost song within that tone, but this product's gonna get a relatively pretty damn high score, I'd say. So yeah, but Paper Chasing was just kind of one. This was kind of a messy type beat and overall song, just so with the vibes behind it. I just feel like the composition behind the ad libs on the song, and then like the belly sparkle on the song, and just the overall composition of the song was just a little bit more scattershot than like the tone probably behind what probably needed to be on that one. It was trying to be like a hustle type song, similar to like Still On and maybe with like a little bit of I Gotta Get It, some of those type tones, but just didn't pull off the vibe nearly as well as some of those pitches. This is a real on the grind type mixtape here. I'd have to say it's pretty much full blown more in like work type mode, which is an interesting pitch because Paul Wall does switch up his tones on different type albums. Like Poet was definitely a good party centric type album to get fucked up to. And it was kind of the same thing with No Sleep Till Houston that had a lot of good night blitz on there, but this is a little bit more just grind centric, a little bit more getting to the money, some pitches like that, actually stacking up your paper, some of those type things, just getting, even if it's just money, even if it is just morning hustle, standard blue collar type fare, it's just a good concept to kind of have some of this of just getting towards it and just being a little bit more push forth. Number of songs kind of do that. Paper Chasing, Keep on Pushing, Caked Up, or Paper Chasing, Keep on Pushing, I Gotta Get It, Scared Money, some of these type ones just have that relative type tone within that particular pitch. So there's just a number of some of these ones, but I'd probably even say Back to the Block's another one. But yeah, to basically talk about some of these songs on here, probably one of the more immediate ones to go for if you do need like some good cut loose kind of Paul Wall to get to, like off of his more recreational type albums like Poet and Check Season and No Sleep Till Houston would be the song My City. This like a bopping kind of club blitzer. I would definitely feel like good buzz song and kind of up front late game flat type song kind of get here. Just one where Paul Wall just goes in, tells it how it is. It's like a good song to get turned to. I would definitely feel like a great song to smoke to. So this is one. This really feels like something that Lil Jon would have produced. Really something of like the mid 2000s type fare, and like a Lil Jon just turn up type typical crunk. Something like Usher's Yeah. Something like the standard crunk like Baby Bash's Cyclone. Some of those type pitches. I'd have to say this is an excellent type con to kind of get that one. Good standard bop here. Scared Money's a pretty nice one as well. This has Yo Gotti on here. And like I'm not going to list every single guest off this particular product just because this computer doesn't necessarily have internet on it. And I would have to say I'd have to keep checking back and forth between my phone and stuff. I'd look after it. So this is Scared Money is like a bustling kind of overcast day, I would say. Good bustling kind of overcast day song to kind of get here. Just to snap to it, kind of good mixtape grind and like a standard day outing of a song to kind of get here. So just a pretty good pitch behind that. Basically like a more uppity version of like something like I Gotta Get It, something within that relative pitch. It's kind of within the tone. Just like I said, this is a motivated type product. Just appreciate the push behind it. Just the differential is not quite as full blown much kickback smoke. It's just standard fare, just relative, just unwind. There's definitely some ones that are just like I feel like it's kind of more hustlers makeshift, or it's just kind of the concept, just blue collar, but not quite as much full blown, just standard Home Depot type music, Target type music, some of those type fairs, Kmart type music, some of those type pitches. I'd have to say it's just a relative pitch, but it does have like, I mean, if you're getting money, it's just kind of the concept that has some of these, just telling you to get towards it. Quality gem on here would be Move Slow. It's a nice lady song on here. It's like a syrupy kind of after hours groove about this particular song. It's like a great vibey kind of enjoy the ambience type song to kind of get here. Great strip club type. It's like a great strip club type song to kind of get, just full blown in particular. Real nice appeal. Good winding song to have with some slow dance, obviously, just in the tone and the chorus behind it. Great song to smoke up to in the after hours. So it's just a pretty good pitch. But it's Move Slow is definitely one of the most emphatic songs on this particular product, I would definitely say. So it's just an excellent type of appeal, that one. I Gotta Get It's a pretty quality one. It's like a standard day commerce hustle of a song, I would have to say. Good push along type tune to kind of get here. Some mixtape clash definitely have just some bright kind of appeal just within the aspect of just getting towards it. And it's like a pretty quality pacer here. So I like the affability behind it. I do like the push. I mean, Paul Wall is a typical type motivator as far as those pitches going to happen. He was doing some of this type stuff on Chick Magnet and People's Champ, some of those type pitches. So it's just in a mixtape type format. You just get some good type ones to kind of get here as far as getting along. Another nice one for that would be Keep On Pushing. I'd have to say it's like a brewing kind of brunch commerce, kind of work a day brush, I'd feel like about this one. Simple day fare as far as those pitches going to happen. This is just like good for some work routes. If you do have like a typical route that you take to work, some of those type fares, just standard fare, just picking up like something at Starbucks, something like that, some good type tones, getting like a Coke at McDonald's, some of those type pitches, just standard fare, just getting breakfast, brunch, some of those type fares, just within the particular behind it, just standard on the grind. But the thing about Paul Wall about it is just the fact that it's not typical kind of moody, kind of pissed off type mode. It's just kind of the push behind. He's a little bit more resolved and resilient on this particular product. He's not so much angry or just kind of stewing about it. I have to say it's just a good concept. It's just if you're looking for like a tone that just kind of has something that can get you back on your feet, that's something like, yeah, I'm kind of pissed off, but it just gets you like, hey, I'm doing great. This is like some great work. I'm doing the work, some pitches like that. It just is kind of a concept that Paul Wall kind of has that affability behind it. So it's just a different kind of pep. That's just the motivation is just kind of something like DJ Khaled and Jeezy and some of those type folks that just kind of get you on your feet and get towards it. So it's just a good concept for that. Dripped Out's a pretty quality one as well. It's like a ghastly kind of night commerce, kind of get supplies and local pastiming of a song. I'd say it's definitely like a good cool weather kind of smoke up type music I can get here. So yeah, I would say Dripped Out is just a pretty crisp type one. It's a little bit, it's not quite horrorcore, but it is one of the more ghastly songs on here as far as those pitches kind of have. And just an interesting type of feel to kind of have for some like late September, October type fare, just when it's more cooler out. Just when it's cooler out, I'd have to say a good concept for that. Definitely great for some demon time, I'd have to say. Back to the Basics, or Back to the Block is a pretty quality one. It's like a night activity kind of commerce once again. It's another one that goes pretty well with Dripped Out. I'd have to say it's this less ghastly. It's like a gas station run, kind of token demon time hours fun to kind of get here. So it's just basic turn up, just get like a frozen burrito, something like that. Get some frozen pizzas, pitches like that. Just pick up like a 2-liter, some of that type fare. Get some Crown Royal, have some good times as far as that pitch kind of goes. Paul Wall is really storytelling on this particular song, so it's just kind of more nostalgia for him in that sense. But he's just pretty compelling lyricist on here. I like the concept. Paul Wall definitely has some good flows on here and just overall composition of how he does things. He has an interesting type flair as far as that particular pitch kind of goes. It's a good pitch to kind of get some of these just within the tone behind it. There actually are a number of guests on here, like Slim Thug is on here, Lil Kiki's on here. I want to say Lil Kiki's on here. There's some folks on here. There just are some other folks like Yo Gotti's on here a couple of times. I'd had to say so there are numerous kind of guests on here. I just would have to say there's probably going to be some songs on this project where you might want Paul Wall to have two verses on here, but he only has one because there's a couple songs, something like that, that has two guest rappers on here as far as those pitches going to happen. But I look after it's just some good tones kind of get this. So it's pretty affable type project. It's real quality mixtape here. Showing skills is a nice bop as well as like a typical kind of night sauntering of a song. I'd had to say just after tasks kind of enjoyment. I'd have to suppose about this one. Smoke a few in a good night primer to kind of get. So I just look after the tone behind it is within the context of how some of those type of things happen. It's just kind of an in-between type one, but it's just kind of a sauntering type song to kind of have, or just like the after hours of just done with tasks, but then also just a concept, but not really, it may not be as full-blown like getting torn up like on a song like my City or Move Slow, some of those type ones, some of those type pitches, but just an in between. Just maybe you're going to get high as hell and just kick back and just watch Jackass for the night, or just play, or just have some PlayStation moments, some pitches like that. I'd say just standard fare, just buzz some Chica, some of that type fare. I'd say a good concept. Take It There is a quality one. It's like a steamy kind of nice pairing with Move Slow. I'd have to say it's a little bit more summery and passionate. I'd have to say about this particular one though. And it's just some late glitz to kind of get here. So I look after just the appeal behind it. I just have to say, just within that relative type tone, just a real nice affable type one. Quality lady song to kind of get just within the tone behind it. It really feels like jacuzzi-like and outdoorsy. I'd have to say just a pretty good pitch, kind of have some of that in this particular type fare. Just real nice steamy type one. Really do appreciate the appeal behind some of these. Some of these just really work pretty well for like a strip club. I kind of feel like there's not as many full-blown club songs on here. I'd probably say apart from My City and possibly Move Slow, I'd say it's really more strip club centric just within a couple of these, but it's really not that much of an outing type project. I just would have to say it has definitely like some night commerce. I feel like this particular project minus like the song Keep On Pushing and maybe like one or two others, I'd have to say for the most part a lot of this is just the commerce between about 4 o'clock p.m. or even 5:30 p.m. when the sun is setting to about maybe 1 o'clock in the morning with like a handful of cuts on here. But this is, I mean, it has a relative snap out just within the tone. You get at least one, two, or three. You get at least 2 or 3 songs for about each batch of like these types of songs kind of get here, but it's just kind of the tone behind it. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Yeah, another quality highlight on here would be Still On. It's like a grinding kind of mixtape get to it. I'd have to say about this one. It's like a typical kind of evening commerce, I'd have to say, and it's like simple Bill Payne type music to kind of get here. Just another tone, just the pitch behind it, just one that's kind of like Scared Money, Back to the Block, some of these type ones, Keep On Pushing, I Gotta Get It. So there's just a number of these tones just within that particular pitch. Plenty of good money getting type tones to kind of have within that sense. There's probably even more. I think this is like a better variation of the song that Paper Chasing was trying to be. I do like the title of Paper Chasing. That was a pretty good do or die song, but I just look after the pitch behind it, just being able to say I look after this just nails that particular vibe a lot better just within the tone behind it. But just being able to say, for the most part, this should keep you just within the mode of even if you hate or get annoyed by the concept of like the dredge and like the same shit different day type tone of some particular type fares, that some of those concepts and mentalities, it just keeps you within the sort of just keeping towards it and just being on the grind and stacking up paper as far as those pitches kind of happen. So it's good enough tone. So I look after it, just being able to say, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Like, I'm not sure if I talked about Caked Up. I think this might be the last one to talk about here. Caked Up is like a hot box the ride bopper. I would definitely feel like here there's like some homies kick back and fun basic kind of cruise pastime. I would have to say about this one. It's another good one to saunter too. This is definitely one of those ones that Wu-Tang and Old Dirty Bastards, some of those type folks, we kind of do just hot box the ride and just really get stuck in the car as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just hella smoking the ride, some pitches like that just within the after hours. Good kind of simple homies type fare just kind of get here. Some good slow cruise type appeals just kind of have with some of that type tone. So it's real nice when they really get hella stoned to, I'd have to say. So that's the particular tone about this mixtape. So me recommending at least 13 songs. And oh yeah, talk about some of these other ones. Like basically the 2 songs that were also on other projects were the songs Fly, which had Gorilla Zoe and Young Jock on there from his 2009 album, and then Pressing Buttons, which I want to say had like Lil Kiki and someone else, but I don't remember. Maybe it was Zero, one of those type folks, but it was a song off of Fast Money, it had to say in particular. It's a pretty good pitch for both those. But yeah, basically 13 songs out of 16 on here that I recommend, but even despite the fact that it's more 11 out of 14, just slashing the 2 songs that are on other albums, I'd have to say basically 13 out of 16 would be like a 9.25 out of 10. Now I realize the reason why is because of that is just because 11 out of 16 11 out of 14 you would think would approximately be a 10, but it's just kind of the concept that because some of these songs are to be found elsewhere, it's just kind of the concept. So 9.25 I'd have to say, just within the relative tone behind it. But I look after the social score, I'm probably going to give I'll probably give the social score like an 8.5 out of 10 because I feel like the concept behind it definitely has some good motivational type tones, but I feel like the overall full blown appeal, like the social bite and like the ones that you would play around your homies, some of those type pitches, I feel like this is just more of like a motivator and just get you towards it and get you on your feet. Just more situate type music and bill paying type music more so than full blown recreational. I mean, Paul Wall definitely has those projects. No Sleep Till Houston, Check Season, Poet, some of those type ones, Fast Money, some of those type pitches, probably even bits and pieces of Heart of a Champion. But I just look after just being able to say there's a lot just more of like a motivational type product and just more money, get just standard, get some work done, some pitches like that, kind of more like elbow grease type project kind of have here. Just kind of look after, but it's an 8.5. I do feel like there's songs like Move Slow, My City, some of these type ones. Dripped Out's pretty nice one. Some of those particular type ones within a sense. Showing Scales are pretty nice. Night Type Flash kind of have for some of that. So it's just within the tone, but it's just not as full blown carnivorous as Paul Wall normally is. But I look after 8.5 social. In terms of the future, like Paul Wall has dropped an album in late 2023. He might be working on some new stuff. He has a pretty prolific grind, I'd have to say, so it's pretty excellent. It's pretty excellent concept. We get some of that there, I'd have to say. But yeah, this is a pretty secret type product. I don't know as many full blown folks that really full blown realize about this one. It's kind of more. It's not on Wikipedia, like I was saying. It's just kind of here and there with like the promotion, the overall just attention that it kind of gets. I don't know if it had a single or music videos as far as those pitches kind of happen, but I look after it. It's very recommendable. 9.25 is definitely pretty sheer and bountiful, I'd have to say, just within the tone behind it. So this is pretty excellent type tape here to kind of get, and it's an easy one to fuck with.